Okay, here's something to think about. What if one murder mystery tied right into a huge election didn't just change the vote, but actually shifted, global politics? Was it just a terrible accident? A cover-up? Or was it something calculated, like a deliberate dead end strategy meant to bury the truth forever? Today, we're diving deep into a really chilling story where democracy and death collided. We'll be pulling insights straight from our source material to understand this strategy. And as you'll see, it leaves behind more than just questions. It leaves scars, global ones.
It's fascinating, isn't it? We usually think of elections as being about hope, about change. But history, well, it tells a different story sometimes. They can be arenas for fear, for manipulation, even violence. We've seen it everywhere, really, from turbulent political scenes in South America to newer democracies in Eastern Europe. And yet, even in systems we think of as pretty stable, political intimidation, violence, it can play a quiet role. But this one event we're looking at, the one called the election murder mystery, it later got formalized in the sources as the dead end strategy. It really stands out. It all started in this one country facing, well, huge political turmoil, a really divisive election race.
And the victim, the person found dead just weeks before the vote, they weren't just anybody, were they? What did the sources tell us about who they were? Why was their death so potentially explosive for one of the candidates?
That's exactly right. Not random at all. The sources are very clear on this. The victim was high up inside a campaign, someone who had documents, real evidence, the kind of stuff that, if it got out, could have just completely destroyed a frontrunner's chances. Their knowledge wasn't just, like, inconvenient. One source called it the linchpin of an impending political earthquake.
Wow. Okay, so the official story robbery gone wrong, that started to fall apart pretty quickly. But what came next? What the sources call the dead end strategy. That seems even more disturbing than the murder itself. So officially, it's a robbery. But what were the specific things that made journalists, whistleblowers, even some police doubt that story right away?
Well, almost immediately, you had these big red flags popping up. Our sources detail how, for example, nothing valuable was actually stolen from the scene. That kind of undermines the robbery idea, right?
Right. Doesn't fit.
Exactly. And even more troubling, key pieces of CCTV footage. They just vanished, gone from police servers, leaving these really unnerving gaps right where you'd expect to see crucial moments.
Vanished. Just like that. Yeah.
Just like that. And then you have the witnesses. The sources mention one really chilling case, a local shopkeeper. He initially talked to journalists, mentioned seeing a suspicious car. Days later, his shop is closed, boarded up, and he's just gone, disappeared.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He left this silence that honestly spoke volumes. So the public started asking, was this random or was this a deliberate silencing?
And this is where that dead end strategy really comes into sharp focus. It's the key idea here from the sources. The investigation didn't just stall. The sources say it was actively, systematically blocked. How did that actually work? How did they suffocate the truth?
It was quite sophisticated, really. A master class in obstruction. The sources point to a few key methods. Critical case files. They were accidentally misfiled, buried deep in some obscure archive, basically impossible to get to quickly.
LA file.
And you had the forensic teams, the really good ones, known for their integrity. They were subtly, conveniently reassigned, pulled onto other high-priority cases, delaying the crucial analysis on this case indefinitely.
So sideline the best people.
Exactly. And the judges, those handling the early stages, they found themselves under this immense kind of unspoken pressure, often from, quote, anonymous official channels. And suddenly you see these weird rulings favoring delays over actually investigating.
Pressure from above.
Seems like it. And the political leadership.
Yeah.
Instead of demanding answers, they just closed ranks. Vague statements about due process while making sure nothing actually happened. The case, as the sources put it very bluntly, was deliberately suffocated, kept away from anyone powerful.
So Election Day finally rolls around, but not with any sense of celebration, more like under this dark cloud. What was the atmosphere like based on the sources, and what happened right after the vote?
Yeah, the sources paint a really tense picture. Conspiracy theories weren't just whispers, they were like everywhere online. Social media was just on fire with hashtags demanding justice, demanding answers. And international observers, they weren't just raising eyebrows. They were filing formal reports, talking about intimidation, about major irregularities.
So real concerns being documented.
Absolutely. But despite all that tension, the election just went ahead, almost like nothing was wrong.
And the result, that was the truly chilling part, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The candidate who was linked to the murdered insider, the one whose campaign could have been destroyed, they won. What kind of message did that send out globally?
It was stark. The sources frame it as this almost proverbial message echoing around the world. Dig too deep,
Right.
and you hit a dead end. You find nothing provable. It was a display not just of winning, but of impunity, like saying, we can do this and nothing will happen. This wasn't just about one country's election anymore. It was a global warning flare.
But how did that ripple outwards? What did this specific event mean for other countries, for other political campaigns? Did it change how things were done elsewhere?
Oh, definitely. This local tragedy had global consequences. It changed the game, you could say.
Hmm.
Opposition parties, especially in places where democracy felt a bit fragile, they became noticeably more cautious.
Understandably.
Yeah, they started self-censoring, maybe toning down their criticisms. They didn't want to attract that kind of fatal attention. And whistleblowers,
Hmm.
people who might have felt protected before, they went quiet. They saw the risks involved.
The personal cost became terrifyingly clear.
Exactly. And maybe the most damaging part, voters, even in supposedly strong democracies, started having this deeper doubt, this nagging question, does democracy actually protect us?
Or is it just, a nice idea that can be easily shattered by ruthless tactics? And, it's easy to think of this as just one awful, isolated thing. But history shows us single events can be pivotal geopolitically, like Archduke Ferdinand in World War I, right?
Sure, the trigger event. Or think about political killings in Latin America during the Cold War, tied to bigger power struggles. This election murder mystery, according to our sources, had three really specific global impacts. First, it kind of accidentally gave a boost to authoritarian tactics worldwide. It showed that intimidation works if you're ruthless enough and can cover it up with this dead-end approach. The source actually points to measurable drops in funding for investigative journalism on similar sensitive cases globally after this. The risk just seemed too high.
Wow, a quantifiable effect.
Yeah. Second, it seriously damaged international trust in elections generally. It fed this cynicism that we still see today. And third, maybe the most insidious part, it kicked off a kind of cyber war of disinformation and digital cover-ups. Other states watched this. They saw how easy it was to lose digital evidence, to manage the narrative online. And they learned. They started using sophisticated data shredding, ghost servers, creating their own digital dead ends.
So, elections everywhere suddenly felt more like battlefields. Secret battlefields involving manipulation and cover-ups. That fundamentally changes things. Given how effective this tactic became, let's unpack it more. What did the sources reveal about the actual playbook? What are the mechanics of this dead-end strategy?
The sources lay it out pretty clearly, and it's disturbing. It's a playbook for political survival by suppression. Step one, remove the threat. And that doesn't always mean physically. It could be discrediting someone so badly nobody believes them, or silencing them through threats, maybe legal capture.
Okay, neutralize the source.
Exactly. Step two, control the narrative immediately. Label it an accident, random crime, issue flat-out denials. Get your story out first before questions can even form.
Set the official version.
Right. Step three, exhaust the investigators. This is the core of the dead end. Create endless loops, lost evidence, contradictory motives that make no sense, witnesses who suddenly won't cooperate or change their stories. The sources call it deploying strategic chaos. Just overwhelm the investigation with noise, red herrings, bureaucratic hurdles until they give up or run out of resources.
Make it impossible to find a clear path.
Precisely. They might use complex shell companies to hide money trails or plant false leads that waste months of investigators' time. And finally, step four, move on quickly. Just let the news cycle do its thing. Let the public get tired of the story. Let the scandal fade away. And the really chilling part the sources emphasize, the strategy doesn't even need to be proven to work. Just the fear of it, the feeling that the truth is buried too deep to find, that alone can paralyze opponents and stop future whistleblowers.
We've talked a lot about the strategy, the global impact, but it's crucial we don't forget the human cost here. Beyond the politics, what did the sources say about the real people caught up in this? The families, the journalists, the voters?
Yeah, it's vital to remember that. You get caught up in the strategy, but at its heart, someone died. Families were left devastated, dealing with not just grief, but the injustice of a narrative that denied what happened. Whole communities, especially those close to the victim, felt silenced. There was this palpable fear.
A chilling effect.
Definitely. And the journalist who tried to push back, who pursued the story, the sources recount some harrowing experiences, constant fear of being watched, digital harassment, some were even forced into exile. They had to abandon their lives just to stay safe.
Incredible risks.
And for just ordinary voters, it wasn't just another news headline. It left a deep scar. A really painful lesson about the potential cost, the sometimes fatal cost, of speaking truth to power in those kinds of situations.
And bringing it to today, that shadow of the dead end strategy, it really does feel like it still hangs over us, doesn't it? Every time election integrity is questioned, foreign interference, cyber attacks, massive fake news campaigns, you kind of see echoes of this playbook.
Absolutely. We're in an era where trust in institutions is, well, pretty shaky. So when a whistleblower vanishes without a trace, or election-related violence goes officially unsolved for years,
Hmm.
or when the truth just feels deliberately obscured, pushed just out of reach, you see those patterns.
The playbook is still relevant.
It serves as this stark reminder of how powerful interests can manipulate things, how accountability can just evaporate. And it really forces a critical question on you, the listener. When you see these things happening now, are we just watching democracy adapt to new challenges? Or are we actually seeing it get slowly dismantled by deliberate secrecy?
In the end, this dead end strategy, it's so much more than just a compelling murder mystery. It's a really profound warning. It tells us that democracy isn't just about showing up to vote. It's about protecting people. It's about protecting truth. It's about the integrity of the whole process.
And that really underscores why critical thinking is so important, why we need to question the narratives we're given, especially when things seem too convenient or investigation hits a wall too easily.
So maybe the next time you hear about an election scandal or a key figure disappearing or an investigation that just stalls, ask yourself, is this really a dead end? Or is it maybe a story that certain powerful forces really don't want you to understand fully? Think about how these tactics, violence, silencing, deliberate obfuscation, might still be shaping our world today, often just hidden beneath the surface.